This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories.
And welcome to my review of the new Jedi Order Destiny's Way and the ebook Ylesia. And the only reason these two are together is because the ebook is set in between chapters of this book and is written by the same author. From what I thought, was originally intended to be part of the book, but was cut and released as a separate ebook. So let's go straight into it. And a lot happens in this book. I'd have to look at a quick summary because I did take a break in the middle of reading this because I was rereading Lord of the Rings through audiobooks when I was building Barad-dûr last month, so I honestly just wanted to finish that incredible book series and dedicate as much time as possible to getting to that. But going to this is honestly one of the best of the series. So much happens in it. We get a lot of reveals and the turning point in the war. Here, just as I said, so many crazy things happen. The first thing you get is the first, at least in terms of I think release order, reveal that Bergier was a Jedi who went missing. I figured that out after I was reading Outbound Flight and noticed Bergier is mentioned in it, and once I thought back that Bergier was in the new Jedi Order books, I was quickly able to figure that out. But honestly, it still is a interesting reveal. You learn that she is sort of accidentally responsible for the cause of the invasion with her letting herself be taken by the Vong to try and understand them. And she continues training Jason at least a little bit, but they're mainly separated for most of this. Jason does return to be with his friends and family after the extreme torture and everything that happened in the previous novel, but honestly, it gets pretty interesting with Jason as he does understand the Vong and doesn't want to eliminate them. Meanwhile, there are multiple steps being taken to by the New Republic to commit genocide against the Vong. There is a creation of Alpha Red, which is a bioweapon that would latch onto something that's only inside of Vong and Vong like weapon DNA. So it would only eliminate them and both the Jedi in general that know about this, some of the council members from the rebuilt Jedi Council, which isn't just Jedi but also includes the military and other important groups from the government, were against this and was pretty reluctant by the final New Republic Chief of State, Kel Omis, who honestly was pretty interesting in this. He serves both as ally and antagonist to the Jedi, with him wanting to use Alpha Red simply to end the war quickly since there's been so much death already, and you could totally understand why he would do that. But you could also understand why the Jedi are against this since it would mean the complete genocide of the Vong, and even though the Vong are completely evil with the way they've been trained, the species itself isn't evil. So you can understand both sides of the argument, and it gets to some pretty extreme measures where it's ultimately sabotaged by Vergier, and at least temporarily until they could make more of the virus. And she does this sabotage just to push things back just far enough for the New Republic to be able to turn the war around. And going into some other stuff, speaking of Columbus, his election is honestly probably one of the more entertaining parts of the book in terms of comedy. Lando Calrissian and Talon Card, as I mentioned in my recent honorable mention of him in the Greatest Elected Leaders, did a lot of sort of shady stuff to get him elected because many of the corrupt senators wanted to put someone else in power. And the main reason behind that was he would listen to the people who put him in power. And if they told him to make peace with the Vong, he would, even though he didn't want to. And that would have been devastating for the galaxy and led to the guaranteed defeat of the people of the galaxy. So, with the Jedi's permission, Lando and Talon Card just went on this great excursion where they offered them supplies to go and back their droids being created. And after they do that, knowing these people are corrupt and dirty, they've made recordings of everything they did, and they use that to blackmail them since they know that the free supplies they gave were supposed to be used to help people and they were selling it on the black market. So they put them in a lose-lose situation, forcing them to put Omis in power, and honestly, I kind of loved it. It is feels like something that Lando would totally do, and it was honestly just a really fun part of the book. Going through the rest of this, there was honestly just so many great little things. It was really nice to see Jason go and reunite with the remaining members of his family and be able to fully take in everything that has happened since his capture, since he really didn't get too much time to experience anything with Anakin's death and just all the chaos that was happening. But yeah, honestly, it was kind of insane just how much happened. Honestly, I think that it was pretty interesting to see, but this is honestly the best at its ending, where some of the most insane stuff to ever happen does, because Admiral Akbar, who is extraordinarily old in this, and it seems he is. I do know he dies during the war from natural causes. I don't know which book he does, but if he, in terms of like human years, he's in his like late 90s. I think he's obviously older than that, but like equivalent to a human, he is extraordinarily old and he is close to dying, and he puts together a final strategy to use to push the Vong back, which is to lead them into a trap and then use all resources possible to wipe out their fleet after realizing that the Vong have used most of their resources. He's first going to use months of training for the new pilots for the New Republic to get them into this position. And that's where the eBook Ylesia goes and plays into it. That is one of the missions that is taken by the New Republic, and it is to take the capital of the Peace Brigade, which is the group of people from the galaxy that are working alongside the Vong to capture Jedi and work against the galactic government. And honestly, it's a pretty good short story. It is having a lot go on and includes a pretty major decision, which is more or less just explained in a few sentences inside of chapter, I believe it was 22, since this takes place, I believe it was between chapters 21 and 22. If you are interested in doing this and like me don't like ebooks, I just like either reading the physical book or listening to an audiobook if it's unabridged. But I just get the ebooks of this because I didn't know initially how to read it other ways. But I did learn at that time it's in reprints of the Dark Nest paperback book. I believe it was the first one. So if you do want to read that, that's one way to do it. I think there's a free PDF out there somewhere, but I bought this one. It was like $2 or $3 like a few years ago, not knowing that there was a free alternative, but I'm not sure if that one's still up. I heard it was released on StarWars.com like 10 years ago, but it might have been taken off of that. So I think almost everything from Legends was removed from StarWars.com. But yeah, honestly, that story was pretty interesting. It's Hans, I think it might have been Han's cousin, or I can't remember if it was his cousin or the cousin of Jason, Jaina, and Anakin. But it was one of their cousins, Threk himself, Solo, who is trying to make peace with the Vong to keep Corellia safe, but he is ultimately forced to become the head of the Peace Brigade, and through that, the New Republic is trying to take the world back. And everything with that operation gets honestly pretty insane as they have to pull an attack and also need to be willing to pull out. They are taking way more risks to go and take the members of the Peace Brigade alive. And that is honestly just a very good thing for the Jedi to do to try and draw his victory out, but also to not do a full orbital bombardment on a city where there were innocent lives in the slaves that were taken by the Peace Brigade. And honestly, this was a really exciting book. It was pretty interesting to see, and it does fit in well with the other book. I'm guessing it was just taken out for length, and it could have been explained in a few sentences. But Jason does make a major decision in this to command the battles from the command ship instead of flying in a starfighter squadron. This is all explained in a few sentences inside of chapter 22, but it's still something worth reading. And yeah, honestly, that was a nice little side story. But going back to the main story, once all these mini battles are complete and all of the New Republic forces are trained up to be super well seasoned and ready for battle, they set the ultimate trap where they have it leak out that the New Republic leadership is hiding in the deep core, and that Jason and Jaina, who the Vong have always wanted to capture after they learned they were twins, were going to be there guarding them. They send out a majority of their fleet to take them out, and are caught in an ambush where they initially think they have the upper hand, but multiple different armies, including the Smugglers Alliance and one led by Bel Iblis, go and completely wipe out the Yuzong Vong forces. And the final surviving ones try to go after the few Jedi that are on a space station, and ultimately, with Jaina being there, Jason wants to go to save her, and Vergier, who destroyed the Alpha Red, has been on the run ever since, was hiding in Jason's quarters, knowing what was going on and hoping to train Jason just a little bit more. She goes and sacrifices herself, crashing a stolen fighter into the base, killing nearly all the Vong, besides their War Master, who goes and tries to kill Jason and Jaina to get his final redemption. Ultimately, he fails and is killed by Jaina. And honestly, this is insane because I didn't really know about this battle. The one I knew about the extremely major ones being the first and second battles of Coruscant and of other stuff, but this is one that was really able to surprise me. I am honestly, although I had a good feeling that this is going to be where the tide turned in the favor of the New Republic, it was honestly pretty interesting to read it, and I didn't know what the ultimate fate of Rozier was, and if she made it to the next series where Jason became Darth Kitus, because I know she's the one who began his fall. But honestly, it was just pretty exciting to see. I really enjoyed the novel and both the novel and the short story. And honestly, I want to know what you think. Please let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next episode of Legends of Theories.
Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please subscribe, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, check out the video on screen, and may the Force be with you.